Welcome back to the world of Where's My Jetpack? Back in the 1960s, we were promised everything from jetpacks to flying cars and holidays in space. But here we are in the 21st century, not a jetpack in sight. So what happened to those space-age dreams? I'm Sarah Cruddas.
And I'm Luke Moore.
And each episode we'll be taking you on a mission to find out by exploring a different futuristic promise that never was, to find out if it was all just science fiction, or if these great inventions are either just around the corner or lurking in some unexpected places. This is episode 4, Where's My Flying Car?
Listen, getting involved in podcasting so you can talk about flying cars, fantastic.
I'm
like very happy with that.
This is the existential question, isn't it, that people have been asking for decades, more so than where's my jetpack.
Yeah.
It's where's my flying car?
Absolutely. And again, it comes back to that thing we talked about on previous episodes. You sit down as a kid or as a teenager or whatever, you watch a movie and it's Blade Runner or whatever, and there's flying cars everywhere. And when I was a kid, obviously I was a big football fan, as people who listen may already know. I was always worried that when I got to adulthood, that the football players would be robots. Right?
Wow, you really did overthink a lot as a child.
Yeah, you know me. And I was worried. I was thinking, oh, God, there's going to be no people playing football. But as a part of that, I also thought, well, all this stuff's going to be happening by the time I'm an adult. There's obviously going to be flying cars everywhere. It's going to be amazing. And yet, we don't see it.
I know, and it's one of those things, I think, before, humans have always wanted to fly, and as soon as we started driving, the next thing was to assume that we'd be able to take those cars to the skies. And then you look at science fiction and it has all these great ideas. Back to the Future, Blade Runner. I watched Blade Runner last night. All these dreams and hopes of having a flying car, it's just kind of accepted. And instead, as I mentioned before, we jumped into cyberspace. So why don't we now take a look back at where the idea of a flying car came from?
Have you ever been caught in a traffic jam and wished you had wings and could fly away from it all? Well, you're not the only one.
It wasn't long after we first got cars that people started dreaming of taking them to the skies. In 1917 came our first attempt, the Curtiss autoplane. With 4 wheels, propellers and 3 vertically stacked wings, it was capable of lifting off the ground.
Liftoff. We have liftoff.
However, it never quite achieved full flight, and the First World War scuppered its development. More attempts were made throughout the next 50 years as excitement for a car that could take to the air continued to build. Even the legendary Henry Ford, the man behind the Ford Motor Company, talked of a future where we could drive a combination of aeroplane and motor car.
Mark my words. The combination airplane and motorcar is coming.
But come it did not. Some promise was shown, such as the Aero car in 1949, which had Civil Aviation Authority approval to fly, but also a lack of buyers.
Change a 60-mile-per-hour traffic-hampered buggy into a high flyer on the unlimited highways of the sky.
And later, things got even worse for the hopes of a flying car. In 1973, excitement was building as the AVE missile, built by Henry Smolinski and Harold Blake, took off on the vehicle's second test flight.
This is Ron, K1DBC. All stations please stand by. The Denver Radio Club Learning Net starts in 5 minutes.
W0TX repeater.
But minutes after liftoff, the right wing of the car folded and collapsed, killing both men as the vehicle crashed into the ground. This was the beginning of the end for the dream of a flying car. And coupled with exhaustive regulations and lack of enthusiasm, hopes started fading away.
It's times like this it occurs to me we were lied to by the Jetsons.
So there we go, for decades, literally as soon as we had cars, people were thinking, how can we make them fly? Because you've got to remember, as humans, we've been obsessed with flying. Yeah, we've been obsessed with flying. You look at Icarus.
Comes up on the show every episode, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. that desire to fly, to fly like a bird, to no longer travel in a conventional way. So as soon as cars came along, of course, people were like, can we fly them? Can we take to the skies?
So I reckon people listening might be a bit surprised by all the information in that package there, because, it's not something that we would consider has been constantly explored across the entirety of the 20th century, really, because it's been stopped in its tracks so early on, so many times for all the different reasons you mentioned there. I think people will find that a little bit surprising because we've never really seen it. I mean, we're going to come on to things like drones and helicopters and all the rest of it, but really, it's never really come close to anything like we would recognise as a flying car.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of the attempts, there was one called the Convair Model 118. You may not remember that. No one does. Back in the 1940s, 1947.
How old do you think I am, Sarah?
Well, 1947.
Older than you is the answer, right?
Yeah. But this was literally, imagine a small aeroplane and then stick a car on the bottom of it.
Yeah.
That was literally...
Got to start somewhere.
Yeah, and then there's other ones. The British Army had their own version in the 1940s, which could fly for around... It was essentially a helicopter mashed together with a car, and it could fly for about 10 minutes, and they thought they could use that as a way of getting cars to new places, to, traversing over difficult terrain. So people have been trying to develop this idea, and actually... We look at all the science fiction, we look at Jetsons, we look at more modern movies such as Blade Runner and Back to the Future. But the idea, this is one of these rare situations where the engineering actually comes before the science fiction, because it really was the turn of the last century that we tried to make cars fly and realised we couldn't. And then science fiction's picked off the back of it, which is unusual because normally it's the other way around. So it's something engineers have certainly been dreaming of for a long time, but we haven't quite got there yet.
And I think the reason for it, looking into it and doing some research for the episode today, it looks to me like the reason for that is just because it's so hard. I mean, it's hard.
I love your research.
No, I think it is. I think if you look at the idea that, and I know you're probably going to question this, and we're going to talk about this in a bit more detail, but the idea that it needs to be an efficient plane, a flying vehicle, if you like, of some description, and a car that can unencumbered drive around on the road. Well, these are two very different things.
It's exactly right.
They're very different. So it's very difficult to amalgamate them and just go, bang, there you go. And as you said, I was being a bit facetious when I said, they've got to start somewhere. Just sticking a plane on the car, it's obvious for me to say now, sat in the studio not doing any work towards it 70 years later. That's not going to work, right? Because the way a plane needs to fly, for example, it's all about air passing over the wings. It's about power to weight ratio.
Bernoulli's principle.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know the scientific word for it. I just know how to describe it because someone told it to me once. But the point is, in some ways, the car part of it may negate the plane part of it, or vice versa, and it makes it tough.
You're exactly correct. So it's one of these tricky engineering challenges.
It's the great Where's My Jetpack podcast. Check that out on Stack Network. Really cool stuff here. Stack.London. Where's My Jetpack episode here? Where's My Flying Car? This is Kilo 1 Delta Bravo Charlie K1 DBC. The DRC Learning Net will start in 1 minute. All stations please stand by while the repeaters are placed into net mode.
PL off.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome back to the Denver Radio Club Learning Net. For January 4th, 2023, welcome to a new year. Great place to learn about ham radio STEM topics in general, and thankfully we have plenty of combined experience and expertise. This is Kilo 1 Delta Bravo Charlie K1 DBC. And my name is Daron, Delta Oscar Romeo Oscar November. I'm tonight's net control. Tonight we will be taking your comments, questions, and updates. And later on during the net, we'll be talking about Avalanche beacon training, self-spotting rules changes, local FCC enforcement, and an all-in-one ham radio cable. So we're going to have a great evening here. You can contact us, Elmer, at w0tx.org, on most social media at Denver Radio Club. We also stream and archive our nets on youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. So if you'd like to see behind the scenes of the net or have a visual context, that is an additional way to view the net. This net can be broken at any time for emergency or priority traffic by using the word break. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? All check-ins to the net will be taken in alphabetical groups based on the first letter of the suffix of the operator's call sign. That is the first letter after the number in the call sign. If you can, please try to use ITU phonetics for the call sign and indicate if you have any traffic or questions as you check in. If your suffix begins with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now.
Good evening, Duran. Tom, K6HJV, Kilo 6, Hotel Juliet Victor, Arvada. No traffic. Whiskey Alpha 4, Mike, Bravo Golf, Bob and Aurora. No traffic.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Might be a bit of a quiet evening, still the holiday time, so that's not a problem. That time we had K6HJV Tom and WA4 MBG Bob. Thank you both so much for checking in. Again, we'll take call suffixes A through M, Alpha through Mike. Please check in now.
W0TX repeater.
This is Kilo Mike 4, Charlie Foxtrot, Tango Jonathan Highland Grand. No traffic.
Good evening, Tyrone. This is KF0 FBI, Kilo Foxtrot 0, Foxtrot Papa India. Checking in, no traffic.
All right, this is Duran, K1DBC Net Control. That time we had KM4, CFT Jonathan, and KF0 FBI Ron. Excuse me. Thank you both so much for checking in. I'll have to bring this up at some point. 2-meter radio retrofit an old vintage phone for a dedicated repeater landline. We'll have to dive deep onto that at some point. This is Duran K1DBC. At this point, we'll open up the whole alphabet, A through Z. If you'd like to check into the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net, again, it's just a great place to learn about ham radio STEM topics, electronics. We have a lot of experience and expertise. So we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes, A through Z. Please let us know your call sign, your name, and let us know if you have any traffic or questions. Please call now.
Kilo Echo 0, November Romeo Echo, Jim in Littleton with no traffic.
Whiskey 0, Tango Romeo Mike, Tom and Aurora, and I have an antenna question.
November 0, Tango Romeo Papa, Jim in Lakewood. Good evening.
Hey, Peter, Jonathan, good evening.
Alpha Echo 0 Sierra Foxtrot, Steve, Desmond, no question.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I will go ahead and hold up there for just a moment. All right, and that time we had KE0NRE Jim, W0TRM. I was hoping the ULS page would come up here soon, but got you checked in. I'll try to get or it looks like Tom. We had N0TRP Jim, AE0SF Steve, and then online we had KE0SUM Jonathan and N1GUM Peter on YouTube checking in. Thank you all so much for checking in. Appreciate that.
WD0CIV, WD0CIV checking in.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Alpha Whiskey Charlie, Brian, Centennial, checking in.
Alpha Echo 0 Romeo Kilo, Fred in Federal Heights, no traffic.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. That time we had WD0CIV Charles, KF0AWC Brian, and AE0RK Fred. I may have... I apologize if I got that call sign wrong, but AE0RK Fred. So thank you all so much for checking in. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Again, Happy New Year. Hopefully everyone's having a good holiday time. Hopefully you've gotten some good things potentially for yourself or others. Maybe gotten some family members into the hobby, whatever it may be. But yeah, hopefully everyone is doing well, and hopefully we have some good times for the club and for the hobby going forward in 2023. So yeah, Denver Radio Club, we had a great 2022, and yeah, look forward to the upcoming year. So yeah, appreciate everyone checking in so far. I'll throw it back out to anyone else so far for this evening's net. At the moment, if you'd like to check in to the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. Please check in now with your call sign, name, and let us know if you have any traffic or questions. All right, this is Daron K1DBC Net Control. As I mentioned, some things I'll be bringing up later on in the net. We'll be talking about some just recent news: Avalanche beacon training, self-spotting rules changes, local FCC enforcement, and an all-in-one ham radio cable. So I'll throw it out to the group. Not hearing any further check-ins at the moment. If anybody has any comments, questions, any other further check-ins, anything else so far for this evening's net, let us know. If you got any new equipment, if you were able to do any summits on the air. We have a lot of opportunity for that summer or winter. So a lot of cool stuff. If anybody has anything so far, please call now. All right, this is Daron K1DBC, Net Control. We had a recent in-person meeting, one that's been a long time coming, and it was nice to see everyone and be a part of that. So that was the holiday dinner meeting. So if you could attend, if you were able to attend that, we were so glad that you could, considering the weather. So a lot of fellowships, great food, and great meeting everyone. So hopefully, if you weren't there, we thought of you in spirit. Again, going forward, the Denver Radio Club is going to try to move back to in-person meetings. Nothing is set in stone just yet, but hopefully our monthly meetings will start to take place in person. Again, location to be determined. What else? We also had our recent roundtable was released. Kind of a good synopsis of our holiday dinner party there by Jerry Vilhauer, club president. So yeah, w0tx.org for all things on our club and /roundtable for our roundtable. Roundtable would being our club newsletter, so you can see what's going on and some member recognition. A great mention here, Lyle, KE0. ZNV, 16-year-old ham, son of a DLC member Mark Strahan, KD0IQW, fourth generation ham, place RL sponsored school club roundup for 2022. A lot of contacts and scores and really cool stuff. Net control for several youth radio nets and featured presenter at Hamvention for 2023. So yeah, read more about him and check more about him out. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Again, plenty of time. We have about 60 minutes or in total for this meeting. So plenty of time if you want to bring up anything, any stories, any topics that you were wanting to talk about, any past topics that we've talked about. Well-trodden ground on lots of things, but we're always happy to speak about it, whether it be CW or HF, digital modes, or antennas within covenant-controlled, restricted neighborhoods. Always happy to discuss whatever you'd like. So we have plenty of time. Anybody else at the moment? Any other comments, questions, check-ins so far for this evening's net? Please call in.
I do have an antenna question, W0TRM.
Oh, yes, TRM, I apologize. I missed that. Yeah, TRM with an antenna question. Please go right ahead.
Okay, a little bit of a background. Just been on HF for about a year now. Right now I have a ICOB 7300. I enjoy POTA hunting. The antennas that I mainly use right now, I've got the ARRL end-fed half-wave kit that does a very nice job from 10 to 40 meters, and that's off the top of the roof maybe 16 feet off the top of the roof, so maybe 40 feet tall, to a 33-foot push-up mast in the corner of the yard. I also have a 71-foot random wire with none that I made, and I found that I have better reception with the random wire than I do with the end-fed half-wave. And I was wondering if anybody has any recommendations on an antenna that can replace the end-fed half-wave that will be as good with reception as the random wire. I've had no problem. I always get good signal reports on transmit with either antenna. So I know this is a big can of worms, and I don't expect to get it settled, but if somebody could give me an idea of what I can start researching, and I'd want something that I can roll my own. Back to the net.
All right, W0TRM. Yeah, great question there. Yeah, I have your QRZ page pulled up here, so I don't know if any of the antennas you were talking about are featured there, but I've just been scrolling through there and looking at some of your setup there. So good question there. You're seeing better propagation and better access through the random wire 71-foot antenna rather than the end-fed half wave. So yeah, I'll put it out to the group. Yeah, and any suggestion on any troubleshooting that could maybe take place, or any changes that could be made, please call now.
This is KM4CFT. I have a few questions to ask about that first.
All right, sounds good. KM4CFT. Appreciate you jumping in there. Yeah, Jonathan, go right ahead.
So just for clarification, have you tested your end-fed half wave, like looked at it through like a antenna analyzer, like a rig expert, or like a nano VNA or something like that?
I did test it with the nano VNA when I first put it up, and I know it was all under 3 to 1, and the ICOM has a built-in tuner that will tune it as close to 1.1, 1.2. I've never seen it move above that. The one thing about the unfed half wave is that at first it threw a lot of RF back in the shack, and I did have to put about 6 turns of the coax around a PVC pipe, and it stopped that okay.
Okay, so that confirms at least that one is in resonance, but the RF coming back into your shack is because the end-fed half wave likes to have a counterpoise attached. It doesn't need a counterpoise or anything like that. In a portable operation, you definitely don't really need it, but it definitely doesn't hurt it. But something else that could be helpful is if you understand the radiation pattern of an end-fed half wave. And if you look at it, the center point of the wire is where it's going to be radiating the most. So the midpoint of that wire is where you want that to be highest. And that might, if that point isn't high enough, it might cause a loss in performance. I'm not really too much of an expert, but my main antenna I use for parts on the air and whatnot is a end-fed half wave for 20 meters, and I also can make it work for 40 meters. But that might help you. That's all I can really add.
Yeah, thank you for that. I am thinking about putting a push-up mast on the top of the roof, but, when the weather's a little nicer, I'll do that, because it entails a little bit of dancing around to get things back in the tripod and the guy wires and all that. But that's one thing I can check out. Thank you.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Good question there, W0TRM Tom, and pretty definitely appreciate the follow up there, KM4CFT Jonathan. A lot of experimentation, a lot of variables at hand. So just try different things and see what works best. So a lot of variables at play there, but appreciate the question there and the follow up. So anyone else? following up with that question of trying to troubleshoot the end-fed half wave and maybe getting things higher up in the air, or what other follow-up on that, please let us know.
TRP with a question for W0TRM.
Yeah, TRP, go right ahead.
Yeah, Tom, this N0TRP. Just curious about your random wire antenna. A couple of questions. One, do you use the tuner in your 7300 for that, or do you also have a tuner at the feed point for the antenna? Is one question. And another question is, do you have any kind of a counterpoise on that random wire?
I use the tuner in the radio for that, and I do have a counterpoise. If I remember right, it might be about 25 feet or so, but I'll have to check my notes for that. W0TRM.
Is that on 80 or 160?
No, the random wire is good on 20 and 40. It won't tune anywhere else.
All right, thank you so much. N0TRP, back to net.
All right, this is K1DVC. Appreciate everyone's help here. You all are doing the Lord's work. This is there's a lot of science and math, and you gotta figure these things out. So no, that's really appreciate all the help and all the chiming in there. So yeah, TRM, yeah, let us know in the future how that works out, and hopefully we can get you on the air on those other bands using that better end-fed half-wave antenna. So really cool stuff there.
If anyone has a suggestion for an entirely different antenna, I'd be happy to research it.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I think you mentioned it was the ARRL end-fed half-wave, and we've definitely talked about that in the past, and it seems like people have gotten fairly good results with it. So just the right tweaking and getting things the right way. So just looking at the ARRL page here, easy to build 4-band antenna, end-fed half-wave, unlike dipole, and it's a half-wave length with coax cable for your transceiver attached at one end. Becomes popular with portable operators because it's very simple in construction and deployment. Works 10 through 40 meters, very high impedance, and around 2,500 ohms. So fairly cheap kit here from the ARRL. They have a price on here, but I cannot find it at the moment. But yeah, not a bad deal really. So yeah, hopefully we can get you working up on that. Yeah, about $70. Yeah, you can't really beat that. So yeah, really cool stuff there. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Around this time in the net, we like to just take further check-ins. If you've just tuned in, this is, my name is Daron, call sign Kilo 1, Delta Bravo Charlie. I'm the net control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. It's a great place just to talk about ham radio, STEM topics, electronics, all the tendrils of ham radio. So if you'd like to check in, please do so. We're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. Please call in with your call sign, your name, and let us know if you have any traffic or questions. Please call now.
Charlie, checking in, no traffic.
This is K1DBC Net Control. I think I heard KE0YYU. Was that correct?
This is W0, Fox Charlie, no traffic.
All right, Jerry, sorry about that. W0FFC got you checked in there. That first transmission got cut off a little bit. Appreciate you checking in. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Again, as a reminder, youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. If you'd like to see some behind the scenes or net control perspective and some additional visual context to what we're speaking about. So if you've missed any nets or meetings, we have been archiving things for quite a few years now. So youtube.com/Denver Radio Club if you'd like to get involved. All right, this is Daron, K1DBC Net Control. We have another half hour or so. Plenty of things to talk about. A lot of things we've discussed in the past. A lot of stories I can bring up. Again, I can bring up a few stories here. Again, some Avalanche beacon training, cell spotting rules changes, local FCC enforcement, and all-in-one ham radio cable. So a few stories I can cover, but I'll throw it out to the group. Anyone else at the moment? Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else so far for this evening's net? Please call now.
KM4CFT. Just wondering if someone could give me a signal report on my radio. It's a new radio and I haven't tested it yet.
All right, KM4CFT, not a problem. Yeah, we'd like to know if you can provide us the information about that radio. But basically, yeah, you're sounding just fine in terms of the RST scale of readability, strength, and tone. There was a little bit of a breakup there, but it may have been my end, may have been the weather. But basically, perfectly readable 5, strong signal 8 or so in strength, and then tone I guess would be like 7 or 8 out of Divine. So yeah, quite readable, not an issue.
This is KM4CFT. Okay, that's good to hear. The radio that I'm using right now is a Yaesu FT-818. I just bought it because I had heard that Yaesu decided to discontinue it and decided I would go and snag one from HRO before they disappear off the face of the planet, or before I have to start searching eBay for them. And I'm kind of happy I did because I managed to get it $50 off before HRO raised the price a little bit. And now I don't even think you can find them on their website anymore or on DX Engineering. I was actually planning on waiting a couple months to get this, but just bit before we can bought it.
All right, perfect. Yeah, it's breaking up very, very slightly, but it may just be something on my end. But yeah, FT-818, very cool. Sounds good. Yeah, end of life and getting a little discount on that. So 6-watt HF, VHF, UHF, all portable. So yeah, it's a very not a combination you see too much. So that's I'm sure packs a lot for its punch. So to say, because yeah, VHF and UHF doesn't take a lot of power, and 6 watts on HF, that's QRP. So yeah, pretty cool rig, and yeah, I'd be happy to hear on your ventures with that. All right, very, very cool. Yeah. Yeah, we can discuss prices of ham radio equipment till we're blue in the face, I'm guessing, in terms of maybe it's a little bit overcost, what it should be, and that drives people out of the hobby a little bit. But you know what? Get what you can, find the deals you can, because there's a lot of things out there. eham.net we've talked about in the past, and their classifieds, and even on our own website you can sell and inquire about used equipment. So find yourself a bargain and get out there, because yeah, there's a lot of equipment that may have gone unused by someone else, but one's man's trash is another man's treasure. So there you go. All right, very, very cool there, KM4CFT. Yeah, very, very cool. The Yaesu FT-818, really cool looking radio. So, yeah, if anybody else has any other comments or questions on that or anything else so far for this evening's net, please call now. All right. Fun fact from DX Engineering. That in an emergency, that radio can be run off of 8 AA batteries. There you go. So, who knows? Who knew? Funny stuff there.
This is KM4CFT. Yeah, it's actually, when you buy the radio, it actually comes with a AA battery tray, and the first thing most people do is remove it and replace it with the included nickel metal hydride battery set. I'm actually planning on replacing it with a lithium polymer battery from WinCamp.
W0TX repeater.
Oh, funny to hear. Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, that should get you a lot of battery life on that. So, very good to hear. All right, this is Daron K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, great to hear on that. So, always glad to hear people are getting some equipment out there, and whether it be known brand names or off brands, there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of equipment out there nowadays. So, not much of an excuse anymore nowadays not to try to get on the air. So, yeah, very, very cool stuff. I'll throw it out to the group. I can bring up a couple things here, as I mentioned, but anyone else so far for this evening's net? Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else for this evening's net? Please call now. All right, this is Daron K1DBC Net Control. As I mentioned, a few stories I could bring up here, one of them being Avalanche beacon training. There's been some unfortunate passings that could have been prevented, and just know that during this time of year, there's a lot of avalanche risk if you're going up into the higher mountains and higher elevations. So here, a new story from Denver7.com. Avalanche beacon training park near Minturn is now open for the season. Avalanche beacon training, very similar to what we've talked about as amateur radio direction finding, also known as fox hunting. So let me drop here for a moment. So they go on to stay. Personal avalanche beacons are key to finding avalanche victims as soon as possible, but they are only effective if people know how to use them. This accessible public location should help encourage more people to become proficient using avalanche beacons. The training park, which was developed in partnership with the Colorado Avalanche Information Center, is near the Mountain Meadowhead Trail next to Eagle Holy Cross Station. Let me see here. It has 8 buried transmitters that can be turned on and off from a control panel, allowing multiple scenarios for practicing search and rescue for a victim under the snow. It's open all day to the public. Opened in late 2020. So let me see here if I can have... avalanche transceivers are key to finding avalanche victims as soon as possible, but they are only effective if people know how to use them. So it's a little bit tricky to kind of find this. There was a PDF I think I found here in a minute. Let me drop for a moment. The PDF provided is from the United States Department of Agriculture and just talks about how to gain access to this location. So This is, I'm guessing, a very underutilized resource, but is very much ties in with ham radio and what we do. So if you want to do some, basically a little mini fox hunt, this is a great place that has a bunch of little foxes that you can trigger on and off. So really, really cool stuff. Avalanche Beacon Training Park is now open for the season. All right, this is Daron K1DBC Net Control. This so that is in Minturn, Colorado, which is quite a bit of ways out there. It's towards Avon and Eagle and Gypsum, so a little bit of a drive. But if you're out there doing skiing during the season, stop there, and that might be a really cool and interesting project, or something that you and your family or friends can participate in. All right, this is Daron K1DBC Net Control. I'll throw it out to the group. I wonder, because this is so related to fox hunting and direction finding. I wonder if anybody else on the net at the moment has had any participation in search and rescue using avalanche beacons, and any guidance or follow up on that. Please let us know. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Okay, yeah, just a reminder, this is a free resource provided by, in cooperation with a nonprofit, as well as the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Really cool opportunity. So, yeah, Avalanche Beacon Training, there you go. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I'll throw it out to the group. Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else so far for this evening's net? Please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. We have another 20 or so minutes. There's no hard end, no hard stop to the net here, but we normally end around 8:30 p.m., 20:30 local time. But plenty of time. If you have any comments, questions, check-ins, let us know. Otherwise, I can bring up a few more stories here. All right, this is Daron, K1DBC Net Control. Another recent piece of news here is from the ARRL, now allowing self-spotting. You may have heard that term in the past, and I have as well. Never really understood what it meant, but self-spotting is the act of disclosing your frequency to other operators during a contest. In the past, this was used to solicit contacts, and was considered cheating. But advancements in technology, spotting networks, skimming, etc., the excess workload of policing against self-spotting and initiatives to make contesting more fun and interesting to young and new operators have made this restriction obsolete and opened doors for contesting modernization. This is just this is from N0SSC. You have probably heard of his call sign or his name, but fairly popular in the industry, Sterling Coffee. But his words here, it would allow for live streaming, sub-contesting, esports of contesting. So really interesting stuff here. I guess to go into it a little bit, this was a publication written by W5 W5OV, Robert E. Newman, Director of Operations at ARRL. Self-spotting, a great deal of misunderstanding. It should not be in any current revision at any RL contest, their words. If it is, simply put, self-spotting is no longer forbidden. Evolution of this has been going for several years. It was first allowed in VHF and contesting 2015 or so. Enter the social media era for VHF. He states the CAC, which I don't know what that stands for. Contest Advisory Committee. The ARRL Contest Advisory Committee opined, along with input from various regional constituents, that allowing for entrants to use social media streaming would hopefully appeal to younger amateurs and younger potential amateurs, but the risk of self-spotting would show the front of a radio or mentionings one's frequency were identified as potential risks of the violation. Controversial event happened a couple of years ago. Well-known remote station got a lot of publicity doing that. They admitted a significant wrongdoing as policing to the possible different platforms, methods, and the inevitable communications, what is constructed to be self-spotting via live streaming. We're basically just taking things into new modern day and age. So, yeah, there's a lot to contesting. Again, self-spotting is the act of disclosing your frequency to other operators. So at this point, you're now allowed to do that, which should allow for more context and just more interaction during contest. All right, so that is quite a meta topic within the quite meta hobby that is ham radio in general. So if you're into contesting, I'm sure this means quite a lot to you, and you'll probably just be able to more contacts. So yeah, hopefully this gets more people into it. Let people know you're out there. Let them know where you're calling from and what frequency and what day of time, and you might have more people coming back to you there. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I'll throw it out to the group. We've spoken about quite a few things here so far this evening. Some antenna troubleshooting, some avalanche training, some self-spotting rules for contesting. I'll throw it out to the group. Anyone else? Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else so far for this evening's net someone would like to bring up? Please call now. All right, this is Daron K1DBC Net Control. We have another 15 minutes or so here. I'll throw it out to the group at this point in time. Does anybody else have any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else so far for this evening's net? Please call now. All right, let's see. Another story then I can bring up here. Site I don't bring up enough. RadioReference.com, tied to Broadcastify.com. So Broadcastify.com is you can go and listen to live police, fire, EMS, aircraft, amateur radio, anything that's broadcast by radio, you can go and listen to it. So I've struggled to get a feed up there of our repeaters over the years. I've basically been trying to do it through a software-defined radio and have struggled to do so. It's pretty easy if you have just a regular handheld and can just do basic audio from a handheld. But Broadcastify, if you had not heard of it, go check it out. You can drill down by states, by regions, by different feeds, different categories and whatnot. So let's see, amateur radio, for example, you can go and listen to the Denver Radio League, RM Ham, I'm guessing, and a few others. So just a quick shout out to them. If you've not heard of Broadcastify, go check that out, because there's if you have not within the Denver metro area, you can go and listen to some of the repeaters in that area and nationwide, etc. That is Broadcastify, but they have a forum under RadioReference.com. Pretty interesting forum here. They have a lot of cool breakdown within a lot of the things that we would be interested in, whether it be broadcasting, scanning, antenna, aircraft monitoring, military monitoring, amateur radio monitoring, computer-aided monitoring, amateur radio equipment, a lot of stuff, but they also break things down. They have discussion forums for different states. So they have a discussion forum, the Colorado Discussion Forum. So a lot of cool topics in here related to radio-related systems. They talk about a lot of the public radio systems, public safety, a lot of amateur radio stuff, and a lot of cool stuff here. Interesting news that broke here was on November 19th, the FCC cites a ham radio operator for unlawful transmission on the Colorado State Digital Trunking System. All right, so this is the real world, and there are real world consequences. So this was, I'm looking at a PDF here from the FCC in terms of a Mr. Dean. Notice a violation, K0PWO in Centennial. I think what it comes down to was essentially programming their radios incorrectly, knowingly. Let me see. They were cloning radio IDs. There's a lot of stuff. So, interesting read here. You can read the FCC ruling or a complaint and statements against them. The Commission received a complaint from the state of Colorado alleging that someone had illegally cloned a radio ID that was transmitting on the state's DTRS system, digital trunk radio system, without authorization. The complaint was referred to the Enforcement Bureau Denver office. August 23rd, 2022, agents from the Denver office determined through direction finding techniques a signal was being transmitted from their residence. During the investigation, they were happy to work with them, and they provided a handheld radio, Motorola XTS 2500. It basically confirmed that they were in possession of a cloned radio. So it's one thing to be nefarious on analog, but it's one thing to be different on a digitally tracked system by the state of Colorado, and that's backed by the Federal Communications Commission. This is Daron K1DBC, Net Control. That's not to say that any nefarious activity is ever allowed. So please know the laws, know what you're doing. This is a hobby of experimentation, but know the laws, know the rules, and otherwise you could have the FCC sending you a notice and breathing down your back. So kind of odd, but just interesting local news. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I hope no one here is ever under the investigation of the FCC. Definitely just play by the rules, and we have a lot of room for growth. Or a lot of it's a hobby of experimentation. We have a lot of leeway, but just know the laws and don't violate those, and know that if you're being nefarious, whether or not be on a commercial or public radio system or amateur radio system, that the community will come together to make sure that no longer happens. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Another 10 minutes here. We've talked about quite a lot. Again, RadioReference.com. Really check that out because there's a lot of cool stuff there. A lot of interesting. Let's see some of the recent topics about talking about some Gunnison broadcast, their Gunnison feeds. They're talking about dormant railroad that served Camp Hale National Monument looking to come back because there's a lot of radio concern with that. A lot of different things. So, forums.radioreference.com.
W0TX repeater.
All right, this is Daron K1DBC Net Control. We have another 10 minutes. I'll throw it back out to the group. Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else so far for this evening's net? Please call now. All right, this is Daron K1DBC. Other story I could bring up here. The ham radio all-in-one cable for audio and APRS. Another great article here on hackaday.com, as we've spoken about in the past. A great forum to go and read, hackaday.com. Everything to do with electronics, STEM, STEAM. I'm sure you'll find something up your alley there. So this is an article from... written by Dave Roundtree, written on January 1st. Ham radio all-in-one cable for audio and APRS. Small PCB attachment for a popular series of radio transceivers, which adds a USB-attached audio interface and virtual TTY port for programming and push-to-talk functionality. It works on an s.t.e.m. 32 microcontroller, which is similar to an Arduino, excuse me. And it's perfect for this application. It has USB-C. It comes up as basically it allows the radio to be a handheld radio, just a 2 meter, 70 centimeter radio to be used with. It'll be compatible with like Bofang, anything like that with the mic and the speaker on the right hand side. It'll be a universal programming cable that you can use to program through Chirp. Several radios, or use as a TNC somewhat for APRS, I believe. So really, really cool stuff here. They got it set up with Direwolf, and really, really cool stuff here. So this is from... let me drop here. I'm trying to give credit where credit is due to see if I can find any call sign or name. But AOIC for now, all-in-one cable for ham radio. So check that out. Pretty cool project. You got probably a few programming cables, and for whatever reason, they may not work with different radios, but it looks like there's options to change that. All right, this is Daron K1DBC Net Control. We have another 5-10 minutes or so. If anybody else has any other comments, questions for the net, anything else, I can probably bring up some club stuff here. But anyone else at the moment, any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else so far for this evening's net, please call now. Hey, Steve, got you checked in.
Kilo Echo 0 Sierra Uniform Mike. Jonathan Lakewood with a really late check-in.
All right. This is K1DBC Net Control. We had checking in online KD0CRX. Steve, appreciate you checking in there. We also had KE0SUM. Jonathan, appreciate that as well. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Tonight we spoke about quite a few topics here. Pretty cool stuff there. W0TRM, Tom, is going to try to figure out what's going on with his end-fed half wave. Hopefully we can get some better performance out of that. A lot of cool stuff there. Let's see. We also talked about some pretty cool, interesting local stories here. We're talking about Avalanche beacon training, and there's some opportunities for essentially a mini a fox hunt as well, a controlled fox hunt, if you will, and if you want, an Avalanche and training for emergency communication, emergency purposes. Let's see what else we talked about. We talked about self-spotting and how it's now rules have changed. If you want to let people, if you want to disclose your frequency and whatnot to other operators during a contest, that's now legal. We just talked about a universal cable, hopefully, that can minimize the amount of cables in your drawers here for your programming. So we've talked about quite a lot here. Let me see if I can bring up anything else, or if anyone else at the moment has any other comments, questions, or anyone other comments, please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Plenty of info over on our website, w0tx.org, our upcoming meeting, January 18th. Presented by John Portune, W6NBC. He's given plenty of talks to us in the past. Really cool stuff here. He's going to give us a presentation on making ferrite toroid balance. A few hems have a clue on how to select a toroid and wind it to make a 1-to-1, 4-to-1, or 9-to-1 balun. And well-known radio books can be confusing. Presentation shows the 3 very easy steps to successful toroid design with very little math and a free online calculator. Again, he's given us plenty of presentations in the past. So January 18th, w0tx.org/meets. It will forward you to a Google Meet link, and it will also be on our youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. All right, this is Daron K1DBC Net Control. I'll throw it out to the group. Any other last-minute comments, questions, check-ins, anything else so far for this evening's net? Please call now.
KE0SUM, comment.
Yeah, KE0SUM. Go right ahead.
Well, I was able to catch a few minutes when you started, but I was taken away and got in late. But I have to encourage people to definitely look at the Denver Radio Club's YouTube site. Oh, my goodness. Then you get to see Daron, and you can see his setup. And, one time he showed his green screen and the table in front of him. But also you just can see, I don't know how he does it. KE0SUM, back to net.
All right, KE0SUM, Jonathan. I really do appreciate that shout out. Yeah, because we don't talk about our YouTube enough, and luckily we're in the position where we have a lot of support from all of you. So yeah, you get to see some behind the scenes and some good context to what we're talking about. And it's always my pleasure to be able to do this, and I'm always happy to help train other people up to do that. But yeah, youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. You'll see a lot of stuff from several years now of a lot of presentations and a lot of our learning nets. So yeah, you can kind of see some behind the scenes of how I run the learning net, and hopefully that might encourage anyone else listening to maybe to run the net one day. So yeah, definitely appreciate that, Jonathan. Thank you so much.
Well, the thing too, Daron, is on the right side you get to see who's checked in and their names. It's a great way to learn call signs. I have a pretty good memory. I know a lot of call signs. It's fun to put a call sign and a name together when you hear them. So that's a big part of the learning net. So there you have it. KE0SUM, back to you.
W0TX repeater.
All right, appreciate that. Yeah, I don't often describe it too much over the air, but yeah, I show basically a web browser, and then a fifth of the screen on the right-hand side is me just taking all the check-ins, and you can see people's names, call signs. So if you missed something, if you missed somebody's name or call sign, it's always helpful to do that. And so yeah, I've notes going back to I don't even know how long. So yeah, it's really a very useful tool, and it's incredibly helpful to mix old and new technology and see what comes out of that. So yeah, really appreciate that. And yeah, I always encourage everyone else out there to check it out and let us know if you want to get involved. All right, this is Daron K1DBC Net Control. This will be the penultimate call. This will be the second to last call. Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else for this evening's net? Please call now. All right, this is Daron K1DBC. Again, it's always a pleasure. Really always happy to hear everyone's voice and see people in person, and hopefully going forward, the Denver Radio Club will have in-person meetings. It'll take a little bit of time, month or two maybe. We'll figure something out, but w0tx.org. Tonight we had a total of 16 check-ins. Appreciate that. Again, on our YouTube, check that out. A lot of social media if you have any comments or questions. Elmer at w0tx.org if you want to contact us via email. We appreciate and thank all Elmers. We thank the Denver Radio Club for allowing us to use repeaters. Join us the third Wednesday of the month. That'll be the 18th of January for an Elmer session prior to the regular scheduled Denver Radio Club at 7 p.m. w0tx.org for more information. Next Learning Net, though, next Wednesday, 19:30, 7:30 p.m. Same time, same location, same frequencies. So we'd love to hear you out there again. So with that, all stations, please stand by while the repeaters are placed back into normal mode.
PL off.
That's not going to work, is that?
PL on.
All right, this is Daron K1DBC. Again, thank you all so much for checking into the Denver Radio Club Learning Net. We always appreciate being able to talk about all these subjects, and next week we'll talk about more. So if you are watching on YouTube, there's sometimes a few minutes before and after of just kind of an intro and outro video. So if you are watching on YouTube, I'll just be playing a few minutes of some 3D printing projects from Adafruit Industries, a pretty cool group here. So appreciate everyone checking in. And I just look forward to the next year for the club. So 7-3, and we will talk to you all next week. This is Daron, K1DBC. I am cleared. All right, everyone. Appreciate all the continued effort here. Can't thank you all enough. So it's been an evening, but it's been a great evening. And check out these 3D printing projects over the last 12 months. So that's another whole another topic of conversation. Get into 3D printing. So here we go.